Off the coast of one of Japan's southern islands, about 90 feet down in the cold blue dark, there is a staircase. Wide, straight steps, cut into the side of what looks for all the world like a stone pyramid, with sharp corners and flat terraces, and what some people swear are walls. Divers have been going down to it for nearly 40 years, and in all that time, no one has been able to tell you for certain who built it, or whether anyone built it at all. Now, I know how that sounds, and we will get to that one, but here is the thing that should bother you. It is not alone. All across Japan, there are stones and tombs and carvings that simply do not have an answer. Things carved out of 800-ton blocks of granite by people who supposedly had no way to move them. A ring of stones standing over the dead, 4,000 years old, that no one can read. A message scratched into a cave wall by people who vanished, in writing that even the natives of that island say is not theirs. And a tomb so large you can see it from space, that holds an emperor, and that your government will arrest you for trying to enter. These are 8 ancient structures in Japan that no one can explain, and the deeper we count down, the more it starts to feel less like a mystery and more like something somebody wanted kept quiet. Let us begin. Number 8. Picture yourself sinking down through clear water off Yonaguni, the very last island at the southwestern tip of Japan, almost closer to Taiwan than to the mainland. The blue gets darker, and then it rises up in front of you out of the gloom, a vast wall of stone with what look like enormous steps climbing it, flat terraces, 90-degree corners, a shape that part of your brain instantly reads as built, a drowned pyramid sleeping under the sea. So who made it? That is exactly the fight that has been raging since a diver first found it in 1986. One marine geologist who has studied it for years insists it is man-made, and says he has found tool marks in the rock, carved channels, even shapes cut to look like animals, the ruins of a city that sank beneath the waves thousands of years ago. Other scientists look at the very same stone and say, no, this is nature. They point out that the rock is a kind of sandstone that naturally fractures into straight lines and right angles, and that the sea did all of this on its own. And this is the part that keeps it unsettling. Neither side has been able to win. The Japanese government does not even officially recognize it as a man-made site, which means almost no serious excavation has ever been done. So the staircase just sits down there in the dark, halfway between a wonder and a trick of the rock, waiting. The people who believe will tell you a lost civilization drowned here. That part is a story, not proof, so hold it loosely. But the stone is real, and nobody has closed the case. Number 7 was not pulled from the sea. It was carved on dry land, and what it was for is anyone's guess. If unsolved, slightly unsettling history is what you came for, take a second and subscribe, because finding the things no one can explain is the whole point of this channel. Number 7. In a quiet field in Asuka, the old heartland of early Japan, there is a flat slab of rock about the length of a car, and carved into its top surface is something that looks disturbingly deliberate. A pattern of shallow round hollows, like bowls, connected to one another by narrow straight channels cut into the stone. Look at it for a moment, and your mind starts trying to follow the grooves, because they were clearly made to carry something, to let some liquid run from one hollow into the next, and then away. So what ran through those channels? Nobody knows, and that is not for lack of a guessing. The stone is called Sakafune Ishi, and the theories are all over the map, which is a sign in itself that the real answer is lost. Some say it was a press for making sake, the rice wine, with the liquid running down the grooves. Others say the channels and circles are actually a map of the heavens, a chart of stars carved into the ground. And a few go further than that into places the evidence does not support. What we can say for certain is much smaller and somehow worse. It is old, it was cut with care, and the people who made it understood exactly what those channels were for, and took that knowledge with them into the ground more than 1,000 years ago. We are standing over a machine, and we have forgotten what it does. Number 6 is a set of stones that may be doing something incredibly precise, right now, that its builders should not have been able to manage at all. Number 6. Deep in a forest in Gifu, in the mountains of central Japan, sit 3 groups of enormous stones that, until about a decade ago, were almost completely buried under centuries of earth and leaves. Nobody paid them much attention. They looked like what they were, big rocks in a wood. And then someone started paying very close attention to exactly where the sunlight fell between them, and the rocks stopped looking random. Now, the claim, and I want to be careful here, because it is a claim and not a settled fact. Researchers who have surveyed the Kanayama megaliths, the word just means giant stones, say the way the light passes through the gaps tracks the year with startling precision. They say the stones mark the solstices and the equinoxes, the turning points of the seasons, like a calendar made of boulders. And they say it goes further than Stonehenge or the famous Aztec calendar, because this one, they claim, even accounts for the leap year, making it, on paper, more accurate than the calendar hanging on your wall. Now, mainstream archaeology has not fully signed off on this, so treat the boldest version as an idea still being tested, not gospel. But stand in that forest and watch a blade of sunlight land exactly where it is supposed to, on exactly the right day, and a cold little question creeps in. If people that long ago really could read the sky that well, with rocks, what else did they know that we have decided they could not? Number 5 is older still, and it is built on top of the dead. Number 5. In the far north of the main island, near the town of Kazuno, there are 2 great rings of stones laid out on the open ground. The larger one is about 150 feet across, roughly 46 meters, a wide circle of thousands of river stones, each one carried here from a riverbank some distance away and set in place by hand, an enormous amount of work for people with no carts and no metal tools. And at the center of each ring stands a strange upright cluster, a tall stone surrounded by others laid out in lines radiating from it, like the spokes of a wheel or the hand of a clock. Who made them and why? These are the Owayu stone circles, and they were built by the Jomon, Japan's ancient Stone Age people, somewhere around 4,000 years ago, long before Japan was anything we would recognize. People often call this place the Stonehenge of Japan, and like Stonehenge, it guards its purpose well. That upright cluster at the center is often called a sundial, and the stones do seem to line up with the movements of the sun across the year. But that is not the only thing the diggers found here. Underneath, they found graves. So whatever else this was, a calendar, a gathering place, a way of marking the turning sky, it was also built over the dead, a ring of stone standing watch above the bones of people whose names and whose language are gone completely. 4,000 years of weather, and the circle is still there, still pointing at the sun, still keeping whatever promise it was built to keep. Number 4 weighs 500 tons, and it looks like it is floating.
Number 4. Behind a shrine in the city of Takasago, there is a single block of stone the size of a small house, and the first time you see it, your eyes refuse to believe what they are doing, because the thing appears to be floating, a 500-ton megalith, hovering just above the surface of a pond, as if its enormous weight means nothing at all. How? The floating part at least has an answer. The stone sits on a narrow pillar of rock carved underneath its center, hidden below the waterline, so from where you stand the base disappears and the giant just seems to hang there. But that is where the answers stop. This is the Ishino Hoden, and almost everything else about it is a blank. Nobody knows for certain how old it is. Nobody knows who carved it, cutting it free on 3 sides from the solid bedrock around it. And nobody knows what it was for. In the mid-2000s, a university brought in laser scanners and measured every inch of it in 3 dimensions, hoping the data would finally explain it. It did not. The old story says 2 gods tried to build a stone palace here in a single night and were driven off before they could finish, leaving this behind. That is a legend, of course, the kind of tale people invent to explain a thing they cannot. But strip the gods away and you are left with the hard part, a 500-ton object, carved with intent, abandoned half understood, and not one living person who can tell you why it is here. Number 3 is not a stone at all. It is a message and we cannot read a word of it. Number 3, on the northern island of Hokkaido, inside a cave near the sea, the walls are covered in marks. Hundreds of them, more than 800 separate carvings, scratched into the rock, figures that look almost like people with horns or wings, shapes that line up in rows like script. You stand in that cave and you are looking at writing, or something so close to writing that your eye keeps trying to read it. And you cannot. Nobody can. So who left it? The Fugopi Cave is one of only 2 places in all of Japan with carvings like this, out of more than 700 known caves, which alone makes it strange. The cave was only found in 1950 by 2 young brothers who went looking for it after hearing old stories of ancient writing hidden in the rock. The marks were made roughly 2,000 years ago, and here is where it turns truly eerie. Some researchers think they are a lost system of writing, a script that was used and then completely forgotten. The mainstream view is more cautious, that they are images tied to ritual, to shamans, to ceremonies we no longer understand. But the detail that stays with you is this one. The Ainu, the native people of Hokkaido, who have lived on that island for a very long time, have no tradition, no memory, no story that explains these carvings. They look at them and say, in effect, those are not ours. Which means someone was on that island before, doing something important enough to carve into stone, and then they were gone so completely that even the people who came after them have no idea who they were. A wall of words, left by ghosts, in a language that died with them. Before we reach the top 2, do me a quick favor and tap the like button. I am still getting this channel off the ground, and on the videos that take this much digging, it really helps. Now, number 2, and the people who carved it had no business being able to. Number 2, back in Asuka again, on a wooded hilltop, sits a single block of granite so large it is hard to take in. It is about 36 feet long, 26 feet wide, 15 feet tall, and it weighs an estimated 800 tons. Its top has been ground perfectly flat, and into that flat surface someone cut a long straight trough and 2 deep square holes with machine-like precision. It is called Masuda no Iwafune, the rock ship of Masuda, and standing next to it feels less like visiting a ruin and more like finding something that was left behind. So who moves an 800-ton stone, shapes it like that and walks away? This is the heart of the mystery, and the honest answer is that we do not know on any of it. We do not know who made it. We do not know how they cut and dressed a block that size with the tools of the time, or how they lifted and placed it. And we do not know what it was for. People have guessed it was Buddhist, a base for some religious monument, except that it matches no Buddhist structure anywhere else in Japan. Others tie it to astronomy or to a tomb. None of it fits cleanly. What you are left with is a colossal, precisely engineered object made by people the history books tell us should not have been able to make it for a purpose that died with them. and it just sits up there on its hill, flat-topped and patient, refusing to explain itself. Number 1 is the largest of them all, and it is the one place on this entire list that your government will not let you look inside. Number 1. From the ground, it looks like a forested hill ringed by water, but rise up above it, and the shape snaps into focus, and it is unmistakably made. A vast keyhole, a circle joined to a triangle, nearly a third of a mile long, almost 1,600 feet from end to end, surrounded by moats. This is the Daisen Kofun, an ancient burial mound, a kofun, and it is one of the 3 largest tombs on the face of the earth, in the same breath as the Great Pyramid of Egypt and the tomb of the first emperor of China. By one estimate, raising a mound this size took a workforce in the thousands, well over a decade of constant labor, an entire generation's effort poured into a single grave. And here is what makes it the perfect ending to this list. We are told who is inside. The official answer is that this is the resting place of Emperor Nintoku, sealed in here around 1500 years ago. But this is the strange, heavy truth. Almost no one has ever been allowed to confirm it. The tomb is controlled by the Imperial Household Agency, the body that guards Japan's royal family, and they treat it as sacred ground. For the most part, researchers are forbidden from digging into it. Tourists cannot enter. Even members of the imperial family do not simply walk in. The agency has said, in plain terms, that the tomb should not be disturbed by ordinary people. So this enormous thing sits in the middle of a modern Japanese city, visible from space, and what is actually inside the heart of it, the treasures, the truth of who is really buried there, has gone essentially unexamined for 15 centuries, because the state forbids it. And that leaves you with the question that hangs over this whole list. With every other mystery, no one can explain it because the answer is lost. This is the one where the answer might still be in there, intact, waiting. And someone has decided that you are not allowed to know. So here is the thought I cannot shake. After all 8 of these, we like to imagine that knowledge only ever moves forward, that whatever people once knew, we now know more. But every single one of these places is proof of the opposite. Somebody, long ago, knew exactly how to move that stone, exactly what those channels carried, exactly what those carvings said. They knew, and then they died, and the knowing died with them, and it did not come back. These structures are not really mysteries because they are strange. They are mysteries because they are reminders that an entire world of understanding can vanish so completely that the people standing on top of it today, with all our science, cannot even guess what it was. The stones remember. We just lost the language to ask them. So tell me this in the comments. Of all 8, which one do you think actually has an answer waiting to be found? And which one do you believe we will never, ever solve? And if you could force open just one of them, no rules, no consequences, which would it be? I read every reply. I will see you among the stones.